Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I'm Sukhdev Singh. Yeah, the Dasmesh Band formed in 1987. Prior to that, we were actually just a musical group, Kirtan Jatha, and that went on for a few years. But in 1987, something interesting happened. One of my lifelong loves would be the music of the bagpipe, and one of the stores in Kuala Lumpur had a sale. They had a closing down sale. They were literally throwing away their instruments for nothing, and we had that opportunity. They had exactly 10 drums, what we needed, and we had 10 members in our jatha. 2 of the boys in our group were members of a school band. The interest with bagpipes came from playing sport at Pulapol at the police training center, because the police band used to practice at the same time as we young kids used to play at Pulapol. So we would be able to, whenever the band started practicing their parades and their marches, is when we would stop playing ours and get out there and watch them, and we used to be mesmerized by the band. And the idea of the band came from the police band. So then after that, when I finished school, I went off to England to study. In England, of course, is full of color and a lot of military bands there and performances everywhere. So that continued to inspire me. All these things coming together presented us the opportunity, which we then took, packaged this whole thing together into a band. The band now moving smoothly forward. More and more young people became attracted to the band, and wherever we were performing, they would come up and ask us, can we join the band? So we started to invite them, and the numbers grew. When the numbers grew, now we needed more instruments. So we had to go on fundraising within our extended family. For a start, our cousins and our uncles, and getting them to contribute 250 ringgit each. So I think that was how our first batch of instruments were acquired, was through family contributions. And Gurdwara Tat Khalsa assisted us with 2 bagpipes, and Pataling Jaya Gurdwara also assisted us with 2 bagpipes, which was 500 ringgit each. Was a lot of money, I would consider, in those days, and we are very, very grateful to these 2 Gurdwaras for answering our call for funds. So that's how our number of instruments started to grow. Bagpipe was very simple, one single instrument. For drums, we have 4 different types of drums in the band. We have a snare drum, which is basically the foundational. Then we have the tenor drum, we have the bass drum, and many years later we were the first to introduce the roto drum. A roto drum is a very brass band instrument. It's not actually a bagpipe band instrument. But we found that it added a lot of color to the presentation, so we added the roto. We have 4 types of. So all this required management, funding, resourcing. At the same time, the numbers started to grow. This is how we ended up with today's average figure. We have about 50 persons at any one time involved with the band. There are many people involved in. It's a whole team effort, and very, very fluid. There's lots of dynamics. There's lots of things happening in the band. There are workshops that we conduct. There are maintenance sessions that are done where instruments are taken apart, cleaned, serviced, maintained, and put back together. So all this is the activity that the public does not see, and this requires a lot of skill. The bagpipe is a very, very sensitive instrument, even more sensitive than any of the drums. You can tune a bagpipe in this room, go to the next room and play it there. It will all be out of tune because the temperature is out by 0.5 degrees. Half a degree is enough to set all the reeds off, and so there's a lot of skill. It takes years. It takes 7 years to basically develop a piper to piping standard. 7 years. But of course, that is theoretical in its own sense. You don't have to wait 7 years. You can play. People play within a few months, and they're happily on their way. So that's the part of the band. What the dynamics are. Members, all the youngsters who came forward to work with the band, they had a chance to travel to places that they never imagined. Overseas encounter was Jakarta. There was a competition there. There was a tournament there for Southeast Asia, including Australia and New Zealand. By that time, we had already acquired superior instruments, and we had already acquired superior skills. We had sent someone all the way to Scotland to train at the College of Piping. That was our first serious attempt to raise the standard of our music. Study under the College of Piping, come back with the skills, and then started sharing it out. So now the standards of the band started to rise. We sent our band for a tournament in Jakarta. Our drummers won a gold medal there, and our piper was a silver medalist. And that was our first encounter. It was a big deal for us at that time. We were in the newspapers, we were in the Malay Mail, we were in the Star, we were celebrated. You know, these boys from nowhere suddenly on the world stage, defeating bands from Hong Kong and Australia and so on. So we did very, very well. You can imagine. After that, with the recognition that came along with that, with the publicity that came through the newspapers and people coming to know about it, we started getting invited to high-level performances. Events involving royalty, involving ministers, involving ministries, involving foreign governments. The British High Commission started to invite us. The Scottish associations, the Irish associations, they started to invite us to their events because they saw us as of a certain caliber, good enough to perform at those type of international events. Bottom line is innovation, to be innovative. Actually, we are all innovative by nature. It's just that some of us become distracted along the way. Being able to hold on to an idea that you have, being able to add value to an idea that you have. So this is the secret of innovation. You have to have your point of difference. Like in the commercial circles, in the marketing circles, they say everybody knows how to make a burger. What is the sizzle in your burger? What is the sizzle in your idea? So these things are important. Creativity, innovation, this is what is going to help us drive into the future, see our way into the future. If I can end with a message to inspire and motivate the youngsters, the teenagers who are coming after us, well, this is it. Find your niche, find your selling point, and go out and conquer the world.